Okay, so let's talk housing in Canada. I guess Pierre Poilievre wanted to talk about it, so he released a 15-minute video where he blamed everything on Trudeau. I don't love Justin Trudeau. I think he's been a big disappointment. He's broken tons of promises, but he didn't single-handedly destroy housing in Canada. That's a little bit simplistic, but that's par for the course for Mr. Poilievre. All right, so why are we in such a housing crisis here in Canada? What are the reasons for it? Why do we have so much trouble building affordable housing in Canada? Well, let me explain why. Back in the World War II, it was made into a federal mandate to create affordable housing. It became part of the war effort to provide housing for the military personnel, and it also became an ongoing job of the federal government until the mid-90s to build affordable housing. This worked well because the federal government isn't required to turn a profit. Okay, and that's important when you're trying to build something that's affordable. Because if you're going to build a ton of profit into something, it becomes less affordable. Hence, what happened? Okay, so what happened? In the mid-90s, the government that was of the time decided it would be a great idea to offload the responsibility of building affordable housing to private industry. Why they thought this was a good idea, I do not know. Because the problem with private industry is it requires to earn a profit. Okay, so as soon as private industry received the mandate to build affordable housing, what did they do? They didn't build any affordable housing because there's no money in it. They built a ton of luxury condos and luxury houses. This is pretty basic math, guys. If there's profit in something, it's more expensive. If there's no profit in it, it's less expensive. So what we've had now is 30 years of highly profitable luxury home building, but no affordable housing building. And that's because the federal government gave up their mandate back in the 90s. So if you want to blame somebody for our expensive housing situation, blame capitalism, because that's what's happened here. Capitalism has come for your house and has forced its value through the roof. And that's really great for people that bought their house in like 1978. But for the rest of us trying to buy into a house now, it sucks. Okay? Even just trying to rent a basement suite at this point is next to impossible. So there is definitely a problem. Definitely not making this little podcast to claim there's no problem here. Mr. Poilievre is correct to point out this problem. And this probably is a winning issue for him to keep pushing on. It makes a hell of a lot more sense than blathering on and on and on and on and on about a carbon tax that nobody really even understands anyways. But anyways, back to the housing. So what's the solution? Well, obviously, it's to get the federal government back into the mandate of building affordable housing. Just like in World War II. If a person's watching geopolitics, it looks like we're on a greased slide heading towards World War III anyways. So it would make sense to start laying the groundwork. And in a sense, the Liberal Party already has. They have taken a strategy back from World War II, and they've introduced it now. And actually, it's a good one. The strategy is they've introduced a whole suite of pre-approved plans for single family dwellings and multifamily dwellings, like small apartment buildings. These plans are already approved by the government. All they need is to be submitted to the municipalities and put shovels in the ground. Like it's already done. You don't need to go to an architect and start from scratch. So this is something they did in the 30s and 40s, and it worked great. So it can work again. So they've taken that idea from back then and they're running with it. That's great, but it's not enough. That's kind of like the ongoing problem with this government is they do everything but not quite enough. So they got to go all the way. They got to start, like, we need to build up our military anyways. So they need to start offering people a house or a condo in order to serve with the military for a certain number of years. That's just basic. You know, it's got to happen. And what else could we do to increase housing? Well, as I've said in previous videos, I think we should establish a whole brand new city in the Ring of Fire in the east north port of Ontario, about 500 kilometers northeast of Thunder Bay, Ontario. There's the Ring of Fire, where all those excellent minerals for building batteries are. So we should have battery or mining to create the batteries. We should have factories to build the batteries out of the mined material. And then we could even have the factories for the actual electric cars, electric trucks, and electric aircraft that can be created from those batteries. So if you've got all that employment in the Ring of Fire, it makes sense that you would build a big city, a big modern city full of affordable housing, that the people that move to that area to work in those mines, to work in those factories, can live in beautiful houses, beautiful apartments, beautiful condos, in a modern city with modern transit and modern walkable neighborhoods. And it can all be affordable, and it can all be brand new. And it can be a place that can draw new immigrants to Canada. Because part of the problem we have that the Conservatives love to go on about is immigration is definitely swelling places like Toronto and Ontario, and it's affecting the cost of housing, the cost of rent. Everything's going up in price because it's essentially overcrowded in those regions now. If there was a third place that was booming, that was just like bursting at the seams with opportunity, a place like the Ring of Fire, that's the way it's going to be in the next few years, then that would be a relief valve. That would be somewhere for everyone to move to besides Calgary or Halifax, which are already starting to get oversaturated themselves. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on this one, because this is an example of capitalism run amok. And, you know, this is a situation where a nice large dose of socialism, you know, socialized housing, socialized, responsibility of building this affordable housing. It's not something you can ask private industry to do, because you're asking private industry to do something for cheap. And they're still going to want their profit margin. So that just means you're going to get a really, really crappy place built slowly, and, you know, when they don't have something more important to do that actually has profit involved. So it needs to go back to government hands.